This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Sunny this afternoon, a top of 20 with the 3 o'clock news. I'm Michaela Kamari.
Are your dentures uncomfortable or causing you problems? Contact the experienced caring team at Dentures Direct SA today.
People suffering from long COVID will be able to get treatment at 4 specialist clinics across the metro area. Long COVID refers to those still experiencing symptoms like fatigue, brain fog and breathlessness after 12 weeks. They'll be able to receive treatment at clinics in the REH, QEH, Flinders Medical Centre and the Women's and Children's Hospital. Health Minister Chris Picton says it can strike anyone, not just older people.
Young, fit people who didn't think that they would be as severely impacted by COVID as they were, but are now facing long COVID conditions long after their initial infection.
3,683 COVID cases have been reported in SA today, around 700 more than yesterday's figure. Another 3 people have died with the virus, all women in their 70s, 80s and 90s. 222 people are in hospital, including 6 in ICU and 1 on a ventilator. A house fire at Goolwa South this morning has left a damage bill of around $1 million. The 2-storey home on Barrage Road belongs to retired Dr. Bill Griggs, who was in Adelaide at the time. Dr. Griggs is well known as the former head of trauma at the REH and chairman of the Motor Accident Commission until his retirement. 10 News reporter Jace Kemp says it was his holiday home.
He visited the property only 4 weeks ago. They're doing some maintenance on the roof, so he was down here then. He said that he checked over the place once he left and then found out this morning that it was actually on fire. The
cause is being investigated. The Labor leader says he would support a wage increase to match inflation amid a new push boost workers' salaries. Lucy Gray is travelling with Anthony Albanese.
Australia's peak trade union has upped its annual submission to the Fair Work Commission to boost workers' pay by 5.5% this year. The increase would see the minimum wage rise faster than inflation. Labor leader Anthony Albanese says it's up to the industry umpire to decide, but
people should not go backwards.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison agrees.
I support the process we've always had for the setting of the minimum wage.
Mr Morrison argues workers will be better off once planned tax cuts begin to take effect.
Actor Craig McLachlan has denied kissing co-stars below arm level while performing a scene in the Rocky Horror Show. He's giving evidence in his defamation case against the Sydney Morning Herald, ABC and an actress. It's over stories published about his alleged behaviour during the 2014 production of the musical. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has secured a landslide win in the Philippines presidential elections. The BBC's Howard Johnson reports.
If this continues this way, Philippine history will turn on its head tonight, because more than 30 years ago, the Marcos family were ousted in disgrace because they were seen as corrupt, a brutal dictatorship for more than 2 decades, much of it during martial law. But what we've seen is the rewriting of history, the glorification of the Marcos family, removing all the extrajudicial killings, the tortures, and instead presenting the big-ticket infrastructure projects. All of this stuff has been pumped out on social media, and it seems that the Philippine people are ready to give this family a second chance.
Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Ladies, buy fabulous winter clothes now in store or online at lesliesofgawler.com.au.
The Crows and Port Adelaide are continuing their preparations today ahead of their round 9 matches this weekend. The Power will consider bringing back key forward Charlie Dixon after he got through his return match with the Magpies in the Sandful. Meanwhile, AFL great Matthew Lloyd isn't convinced Carlton belongs in the top 4. The Blues rose to 4th spot over the weekend with their 6th win from 8 rounds this season. Lloyd says when it comes to attack and defence stats, Carlton isn't as good as its ladder position suggests.
For example, Brisbane ranked number 1 for attack and 3 for defence. Geelong surprised me. They're ranked 3rd for attack and 5th for defence. Looks like they might be thereabouts. Melbourne are 2 for defence, 6 for attack. Fremantle are 1 for defence, 5 for attack. But the Blues are 7th for attack and 9th for defence.
And in the NBA playoffs, the Eastern Conference Series is level at 2-all after the Celtics beat the Bucks 116-108. Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Northfield, burst water main, Grand Junction Road near Foster's Road. Noarlunga Centre, twisted traffic light there, Beach Road near Goldsmith Drive. Glengarry, tree pruning works on Oaklands Road near Diagonal Road heading towards the beach. And Tatachilla works causing delays in both directions. That's Main South Road near Malpas Road. Cameras on the drive home, Main North Road, Mawson Lakes and Salisbury Highway at Parafield Gardens. Want free delivery? Shop amazon.com.au. Browse millions of items and receive free delivery on eligible orders over $39. Amazon.com.au. Easy as. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Want pure water? Filter your home for 20% off. CompleteHomeFiltration.com.au.
Sunny this afternoon, a top of 20. A possible late shower tomorrow, 21. Thursday, possible showers, 20. And Friday, showers continuing, 22. Right now, it's 18 degrees. Now let's hear what's happening on 9 News Tonight.
A man in court for indecently assaulting a schoolgirl on an Adelaide bus. The ferocious fire that destroyed a family's haven. How this year's NAPLAN will test the impact of COVID on our kids. The frail Queen to miss another key ceremony. And see the bizarre fish discovered in the deep. See the full story on 9 News tonight at 6.
$13.95. Adelaide's 5AA. This is Jade Robran.
It's time to talk motoring with Trent Nikolic, Managing Editor at drive.com.au. Good afternoon, Trent.
Good afternoon, Jade. Good afternoon, everyone.
Great to have you on the show. And if you've got any questions you'd like to run past Trent, might be buying, selling, or just trying to get in line for a car, 8223 0000 is the number to call. Hey, I saw an article in I don't know where I saw it, sometime during the week, that people with electric cars are being offered the same price, or if not more than what they paid. People are desperate for them. Is that true?
What I find really interesting, Jade, and I think we've spoken about this before, but the buying habits of people and the impatience that we have as a society is something I find really intriguing. I reckon, post-COVID, somewhere down the track, there'll be a really interesting psychological study into it. But I don't understand a situation where someone says to me, you can't have it now, you've got to wait 6 months, and I then just throw a whole bunch of extra money at it so I don't have to wait 6 months. I just actually don't understand that methodology. I really don't get it. But effectively, that's what's happening with electric cars, but it's also happening with regular cars as well. I reckon the reason it's more highlighted and more obvious with electric cars is because there's fewer of them. So if you look at something like the Kia EV6, we just shot an episode of our TV show with one, and everywhere we went into country New South Wales, and everywhere we went, we had people stopping us, asking us what it was, how much it was, how they buy one, can you buy one? And the reality for that car is Kia only brought 500 of them into Australia. Now, that happened because they could only get 500 of them. So what that means is if you and I were smart enough to get on the list and pay a deposit, we could probably actually sell that car now to someone for a $10,000 profit, let alone for the same money that we paid, because there are people who just don't want to wait until the next allocation gets here in 2023 or 2024. The other one that's really interesting, and I actually know this to be true because I know a couple of people who've done it. They bought a Tesla Model 3. I think one of them had it for 2 years. One of them had them for just over 2 years. And they have sold them recently, within the last couple of months, for around about $1,000 either side of what they paid for them as 2 and 2.5-year-old vehicles.
That is insanity. What is going on? Well, I do know because we spoke about it earlier in the show. There's 5,000 ships bobbing along off the China coast there with all the parts in them.
It's true. It's exactly that. What I find interesting, though, Jade, as I said, to just reiterate that point I made before, is that I don't understand how waiting for something has become such a problem that people are willing to pay more for it. Like the car that you're paying $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 more for because you don't want to wait 6 to 12 months for it is exactly the same car. It just cost you $5,000 more money. And I don't understand that methodology. I mean, you know, manufacturers, it doesn't affect them because they're selling every car they can get anyway, but it's the second person who buys it. I suppose it's good news for anyone who runs out and buys a new car and then sells it in a year or two because you're not losing as much money. But as a consumer, if I'm doing something as significant as buying myself a new car, I'm more than happy to wait for 6 months so that I can be the first registered owner of it.
See, we're all Veruca Salts. I want it now.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Let's talk about a study that's revealing that some car insurance are being a little bit, insurance companies are being a bit shoddy and not using genuine parts in repairs. How did you come across that?
Yeah, look, I think there's two layers to that story. So the first one is that, and I've said this to your listeners before, that I really believe it's incumbent upon all of us at the moment, especially given what's happened. And that particular example I just gave you there with a Tesla Model 3, let's say you bought one 2 years ago, it's insured for whatever you paid. Let's say you paid $85,000. That same car now is worth at least $85,000, if not more. So I'd be reading the fine print on your insurance to make sure that it hasn't depreciated to $50,000 or $60,000 over the course of the first few years. Because if something happens to it, let's say it gets damaged in a hailstorm or it gets stolen, you're not going to be able to replace that car like for like with less money. So I'd absolutely tell your listeners to check that. This story that we've run is a really interesting one that takes that a little bit further, which explains that buried within the fine print of some of your insurance policies, there's actually a specific disclaimer that permits the use of generic non-genuine parts. So you've actually signed a piece of paper that says that they are allowed to do it. So it's really quite interesting. And the only two that we could find, and this was stuff that we dug into specifically, the only two that we could find are the NRMA and the RACV. So that's New South Wales and Victoria's roadside assistance bodies. And you've got your own down there as well in South Australia, obviously. They were the only two we could find that specifically outlined that they use genuine parts in crash repairs. It seems like the others all leave the door open. So that's another one that I'd be wanting to check because, you know, if you've got a car that's significantly damaged in an accident that they say it can be fixed or it can be rebuilt, you want to make sure that it's put back together with genuine quality parts.
That is dodgy. We're going to take a really short break. Trent's only with us for a few more moments, so if you've got any questions you'd like to run past him about cars, 8223 0000 is the number to call.
G'day, Rowey here. Do you or one of your kids play footy and want to win big? Maybe you need new Guernseys or even want to put it towards your end-of-season trip. Well, I'm giving away $2,000 cash and a heap of sharing footies. How good's that? Simply head to fiveaa.com.au. Tell us why you need to win. It's all thanks to Hyundai Stariaload, the only van with ANCAP 5-star and platinum safety ratings and $13.95 Adelaide's 5AA.
I'm Henry. When I caught COVID, I didn't expect the exhaustion and fatigue that followed. Even though I was young, healthy and double vaxxed, my lungs still struggle to breathe.
Double vaxxed isn't fully vaxxed. Book your third COVID shot now.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
Do you know how protective your face mask really is? Is it PPE Tech protected? PPE Tech manufactures tight-fitting P2 certified face masks. That means they're proven to filter more than 98% of particles. And better yet, they're made right here in Australia. Right now, get free delivery and save up to 40% off disposable P2 face masks. Don't settle for anything less than Australian-made PPE Tech P2 face masks. Order online at ppetech.com.au today. ppetech.com.au.
Pay back Liberal and Labor's $1 trillion of debt with the UAP's 15% iron ore export licence on Asian manufacturing. Vote 1, United Australia Party.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
There's something you should know about SportsMed. We don't just provide knee, hip and shoulder care to elite athletes. Every day, we treat patients who simply want to get play with the kids fit, brisk walk fit or gardening fit. And having our clinic, hospital and specialists all based together at Stepney makes getting care for your joint pain and injuries, from diagnosis to rehabilitation, even easier. So get back to doing what you love. Speak with your GP for a referral. sportsmed.com.au.
Hi, I'm Jo Dyer, your independent candidate for Boothby. Australia's aged care system is bordering on collapse. Our healthcare sector and its people are at breaking point. Childcare is unaffordable for many families. We need to make access to appropriate care a priority for all Australians. Affordable, high-quality care at any stage of life. To achieve this change, you need to change your vote. Vote independent. Vote Jo Dyer for Boothby. Written, spoken and authorised by Jo Dyer, Kingswood.
Hello, Ian Henschke from National Seniors Australia. We need 400,000 extra workers. Health, hospitality, agriculture, aged care, everywhere. And we've got pensioners who want to help, want to work and work more. But we've got a confusing system that gives you a bonus for one day's work and penalises you more than 50 cents in the dollar for the next. Make it simple, make it fair. Get rid of the pensioner work tax now. Let pensioners work. Sign our petition at nationalseniors.com.au.
For a limited time at Lordman and Pank Optometrists, Medibank members get 25% off lenses and lens extras when purchased with a frame. Combine this with your health fund benefits for even greater savings. Most claims can also be processed on the spot. But hurry, this exclusive offer must end May 22. Book an eye test today based on your eye health needs. Further T's and C's apply. See staff for details. Lordman and Pank, we care for eyes.
Jade Robran on 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
And joining me is Trent Nicolet, Managing Editor at drive.com.au. Happy to take your calls, or you can flick us through a message on 0448 08 1395. I've got a message here, Trent. Hi, just wondering, I've ordered a 2022 car, was told that delivery would be on May 30, now July. If it keeps getting pushed back, can I get a reduction as it will be closer to 2023?
Look, I'd say probably not, in that closer to 2023 doesn't mean it's a 23 model year car. So I'd say probably not. But if you get past that point, if you start getting to October and November, I'd definitely ask the question, yes.
And then Oscar's messaged, hi Jade, can you ask Trent if paying $18,000 for a 2005 Lexus 470 LX with 270,000 on the clock is worth that?
Oscar, I reckon that's, even though that seems like a lot of kilometres to a lot of people, I actually reckon that's pretty good value for money. I just double-checked that LX has got a full service history, ideally from Lexus. Lexus and Toyota product, and really any of the big Japanese manufacturers, if they've been looked after and serviced, you don't need to be concerned by 200,000 kilometres at all. And you know, to put that in perspective, you're getting what was about $140,000 or $150,000 four-wheel drive for $20,000 by the time you get it on the road. That's pretty good value for money.
Wow. So do you don't get scared off by clicks if it's got a good record?
Yeah, look, I don't get scared off by clicks, Jade. Yeah, if it's been looked after. Like, I know you, like me, have got a Land Cruiser, right? And you see them, I see them for sale when I look. There are early 200 series Land Cruisers with 500,000 kilometres on them, right? 480, 500,000 Ks, which means if you're selling me yours and it's got 240,000 kilometres on it, it's got another 200 and something thousand Ks on it, absolutely, available to it if you keep looking after it, judging on what we know of the car. And like I said, with any of the big Japanese manufacturers, the engineering and the build quality of them, whether it's a Nissan, Honda, Toyota, Mazda, they're just really well put together. So, yeah, it's not something to be worried about.
Bruce has messaged, have you driven the Nissan Patrol Warrior?
Bruce, we haven't driven it, but we've had a sneak look at it. So we haven't driven it yet. I reckon, I think it's about a month or so away before we get to drive it. So as soon as we do get to steer it, Bruce, it'll be on drive.com.au.
It looks pretty nice.
It does. Looks tough. Yeah, it looks really tough. There were some issues with some stuff. I believe they wanted to do a little bit more to it than they're going to be able to do, but there's all sorts of crash testing issues and stuff that they need to take into account. But, I think what the business in Victoria, Jade, is called Premcar, P-R-E-M, and they do the work for Nissan. And I think what they've done with the Navara and what they're looking to be doing with the Patrol, I think is a fantastic idea, really clever.
Brenton's asked, looking for a dual cab ute, what do you like?
Brenton, depends on your budget, mate. Let me give you a couple of options. If you want the absolute best on the market right now, the best vehicle is the Isuzu D-Max, which is also the same vehicle under the skin, the Mazda BT50. So they're the same truck built by Isuzu, really, really good. That's the best outright. If you want one of them, you can't get an Isuzu, then go to a Mazda dealer. You might be able to get one of them a little bit faster. If you want something in the middle of the pack that is still good value for money and it's sort of around the upper section, but in the middle would be the Nissan Navara. I think they're really good. And then the value for money pick for me in that segment is still the Mitsubishi Triton. It's incredible value for money, really long warranty. They never break down and they're really cheap to keep on the road.
Hope that helps, Brenton. And we have Darren on the line. Hi, Darren.
Hello. We're just looking at a 2006 Toyota Corolla Ascent Sports, 183,000 kilometres. They're wanting around 6,000 for it. I'm just getting a rough idea if that's sort of okay for that age of a car with those kilometres.
Yeah, six is probably up at the higher end. Like if they're asking 6, I'd start at sort of 5 and bargain your way up to 5.5 if they'll let it go for that sort of money. The kilometres are about right. And, mate, if it's got a service history, as I just said to Jade before, I have no concern about a Toyota with 180,000 Ks on it. And I think if you can nab it for between 5.5 and, say, 5,700 or 5,800, I reckon you're bang on.
Yeah, they have full service history from...
Perfect. That's what I love buying a used car, mate. And I've bought plenty of used cars over the years for myself and for family. And for me, a legitimate service history that you can actually trace, for me, is key. And if it's got that, you don't need to worry.
Right, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
No worries, mate.
Thanks, Darren. And Kelly messaging, do you like the Prado VX?
Yeah, Kelly, I like the Prado. I think it's really, really good. The only time I'd say be aware of it is if you tow a really heavy caravan or boat, a really big, heavy weight with it. That's when that 4-cylinder engine isn't at its best. But everywhere else, the Prado is fantastic value for money. And VX, which is one grade above GXL generally in Toyota speak, is a really good sort of specification price point, I think.
And we've got a message here. We're taking the kids out of school for 6 months and heading to the outback. What four-wheel drive should we look at? And we're not towing a caravan. Thanks for your advice. Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, awesome. Look, I think, Jade, when you're in the outback and you're in remote areas, and I know I've said Toyota a lot today, it's very, very hard to go past Toyota because they have service centres everywhere, and if something goes wrong, you've got access to repairers and parts really, really easily. I think probably the next best option after that would be a Ford, and then you'd go to something like a Nissan for remote area accessibility. For me, you could look at a Prado, like our previous messenger there. I guess the other option is if you've got the kids and you're lugging stuff around like bicycles and camping gear and stuff for the kids, fishing gear and things like that, you might want to look at a dual cab, in which case a Toyota Hilux would be the pick for that kind of touring. I'd go wagon like a Fortuner or a Prado if you're not carrying a lot of gear that's going to be sticky and dirty, like I said, fishing rods, surfboards, wetsuits, that kind of thing. If you are carrying a lot of that stuff, then I'd go with a Hilux.
Beautiful. And Gail, I have $40,000 to spend and I'd like a hybrid. What would you suggest?
Gail, I'd absolutely, and now you haven't specified there whether you want an SUV or whether you want a car, but if you want an SUV, that will get you in the entry-level RAV4 hybrid. You'll be able to get in that. You could go a step down and get a Toyota CHR hybrid, so that's smaller than a RAV4. And then the other hybrid that we love is the Corolla hybrid. So if you're looking at a car, not an SUV, go with a Corolla.
And how much do you have to spend to get an SUV?
Oh, you'll get the RAV4. You'll get a RAV4 hybrid for under $40,000. So the two-wheel drive hybrid, comes in under that, Jade. So that's what I'd be looking at. I mean, look, there's a reason that so many people are buying SUVs at the moment because they do suit a lot of people's lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I'm just having a look. Like you can start two-wheel drive hybrid RAV4 starts at $36,900. So that's under the $40,000 threshold. You might have to wait a little while to get one, but that's probably the pick of the bunch.
Thank you very much, our friend. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Thanks, Jade.
Thank you. And you can head to drive.com.au if you'd like to check out any of those cars or delve a bit deeper into some of the stories that we chatted about. We're going to take a short break. Coming up afterwards, we'll be talking to Golden Girl of the Pool, Lisa Curry.
There's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, dear Labor.
Labor hasn't balanced a budget in over 30 years, and their COVID response would have cost an extra $81 billion. Labor didn't even cost their health policy and can't say how they'd fund billions of extra spending in their platform. And that means
More taxes are coming, more taxes, more taxes. There's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, a hole.
it won't be easy under Albanese. Authorised by AHO's Liberal Canberra.
Do you know what to do if you can't make it on election day? You may be able to vote at an early voting centre or apply for a postal vote. The federal election will be held on Saturday the 21st of May. All Australian citizens aged 18 years and over must vote. COVID-19 safety measures will be in place. Your vote will help shape Australia. To check early voting options and eligibility or to find your nearest polling place, go to aec.gov.au. Authorised by the Electoral Commissioner, Canberra.
Want quality wine at the best price in Australia? Then join the Sky Club at skysellers.com.au for just $50 a year. And you'll get a 6-pack of the Boss Reserve Barossa Shiraz worth $150 absolutely free. Sounds hard to believe, but it's true. And as a club member, you'll save up to 81% off retail on selected wines every single day of the year. Join now at skysellers.com.au. That's skysellers.com.au.
If it's near the water, away from hustle and bustle, with stunning sunsets, it's gotta be the Lighthouse Wharf Hotel, an iconic Barreau hotel in the heart of the port. Call in for $10.90 lunches Monday to Friday. Yep, $10.90 lunches. And make sure you take a look at the newly renovated gaming room with a host of new machines that accept notes, plus barista-made coffee and soft drinks. So do lunch from the $10.90 menu at the Lighthouse Wharf Hotel. You just know it's a Barreau hotel. Gamble responsibly.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family owned and operated. Because it's personal.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen? And how far would you go to get 25% off? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balhanna Kitchens by Design? To the largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers. And get 25% off your cabinets with laminate bench tops. For a limited time, of course. Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balhannakitchens.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Good afternoon, I'm Michaela Kamarek. South Australians suffering long COVID will receive treatment for the first time at 4 new specialised clinics. Labor leader Anthony Albanese says he would support a wage increase to match inflation amid a new push to boost workers' salaries. The Marcos family once again holds power in the Philippines after Ferdinand Marcos Jr. won the presidential election in a landslide, and the Socceroos will play a friendly against Jordan next month as they prepare for their World Cup qualifier against the UAE. Sunny this afternoon, a top of 20. Right now it's 18 degrees. More news at 4 o'clock and as it happens on 5AA.
$13.95. Adelaide's 5AA. This is Jade Robran.
Good afternoon. It is 3:32 on this Tuesday afternoon. I have a double pass to Shen Yun to give away. Experience the extraordinary Shen Yun at the Festival Theatre from May 10th to 15th. You can book today at Ticket Tech. So if you'd like to go, it is the matinee session on the 11th of May at 1:30. Call in now. First caller through 8223 0055. Well, my next guess was the golden girl of the pool in the 80s. 15 gold medals at the top level. I used to watch her as a child in absolute awe. Well, Lisa Curry turns 60 in 5 days' time, and to mark the occasion, she's written a book called Lisa, a memoir, 60 years of life, love and loss. And Lisa joins us now. Lisa, welcome to the program and a happy birthday to you.
Yeah, hi Jade. Yeah, I know, 60, wow, who would have thought? And my husband started my birthday early, so I've decided I'm not going to have a birthday, I'm going to have a birthday year. So I'm going to milk it for everything it's worth.
Love it, the Festival of Lisa.
Yeah, I know. We've already got a few things planned, so on Sunday for my birthday, hopefully the most exciting thing that will happen is that my daughter will give birth. So she's due any day, so I'm hoping it might come on my birthday.
Oh, wow, that would be amazing. Is this the first grandchild?
No, I've got 2 little boys, and this is the third. They don't know what it is, so it's going to be a big surprise.
Oh, that is very, very special. I love that. How else are you celebrating? Have you got family around? Are you going to have a little party?
Well, it's all a surprise, so that's what my husband does. He just organises things. Everything's been hush-hush for ages, and I'm not allowed to ask any questions. He's been collecting all of our chook eggs. We get 3 eggs every day from our chooks, and I'm not allowed to even have an omelette because he said he needs them for something.
Oh,
so he finally spilled the beans and said he was making a cake, and I said, must be a bloody big cake because there's a lot of eggs in our fridge.
Maybe he's jumping out of it. Who knows?
Oh, I hope so, with the amount of eggs that are in our fridge, so who knows.
Oh, what a superstar. Well, looking back, has it all gone way too fast?
It feels like it's gone fast now, but of course, 30 years is such a long time, since my 30th birthday when I, finally sort of, I didn't finish swimming then, I finished when I was 33, but, 30 years of my life swimming and growing up, 30 years of my life with family and business, and now the next 30 years, what does it hold? And it was a really nice experience to write, unravel the history of me from a very young age. I really had to find those brain cells that had that memory because, when you go through menopause, you kind of, I don't know, they go MIA. I don't know what happens. You can't remember anything. But at least now it's all in writing and, it's all there for my kids to read.
What was that process like? I'm guessing a lot of tears and a lot of laughs?
Yeah, look, it came at a time where, it was when my daughter had passed away and it was, I couldn't even talk to anyone, or get out of bed. And it came at a really, obviously, a bad time in my life. So the writers were very empathetic and supportive and we had to push hard to get it done for my 60th because, I wanted to write a book on my 50th, but then that never happened either. Then the next, ideal sort of time was the 60th. So the whole process was really hard. And, then my dear mum passed away last month, or the month of March, and, we were able to slide in one more page to dedicate to Mum. So, it was great experience, but sad at the same time.
Has it been cathartic in a weird way?
Yeah, it has, and I think everybody has a story. Everybody has such a great story, and just sometimes it's nice to put it on paper.
Yeah,
because sometimes there's excitement, or there's trauma, or there's grief, or there's happiness, and just to put it on paper kind of gets it out of your head as well, and it feels like this huge sort of weight is off your shoulder as well.
Did your mum get to read the book?
No, she didn't get to read the book, which is sad, but like I say in the dedication, she knew it all anyway, maybe except for a couple of stories when I was in my teens when I was a bit naughty. She may not have even known those. But she contributed to the book, and I used to sit with her and tell her what I was writing about. And interestingly, as soon as we hang up, actually, I'm going up to Maleny. I'm speaking out at a domestic violence night up there, and that's part of my story as well. And And when I was talking to Mum, she said, "Why do you want to talk about your father after what he did to me?" And I said, "Well, Mum, he's my dad."
Yeah.
You know, and I had this constant struggle, this constant pull between, you know, my love for my dad and what he did to my mum. And she still suffered with it right up until the day that she died. And funnily enough, she could have passed away on the 2nd of March when my brother came home from Germany, but that's Dad's birthday. And she said, "You know, it's your father's birthday today." And we all said, "Yeah, we know." And she hung on. She went the next day. She said, "I don't think there was any way she wanted to die on Dad's birthday." So in a sort of a sad and funny way, it's funny how things happen.
Yes, incredible story and chapter, and she was very strong. Do you credit a lot of your strength from her?
Mum had a lot of challenges in her life, and her resilience and her endurance to keep going when, you know, her life was awful. She really struggled with the trauma and the shame of domestic violence. And if you can remember back in those days, you know, people didn't say anything to anyone. No. And if they had a bruise, they'd say, "Oh, you know, I knocked it or I fell over." So Mum had to live with that her whole life. On the other hand, Dad was he was a salesman, he was an entrepreneur, he had the gift of the gab and very driven, very, you know, focused on what he was doing. And I think probably, you know, I was able to get the best of both of them.
And your mum had come in and wake up a little girl who'd spent the night sleeping in her swimmers because she was just so obsessed with swimming. Can I ask you about your first gold medal at the Com Games 1982 in Brizzy? Did you really think of retiring after that win?
Oh, I did, because back in those days, you only, like, when you started your swimming career, your goal was to go to a major competition and maybe the Olympics, and you would only go to one Olympics.
Yeah.
Shane Gould only went to one Olympics and then retired at the age of 16. And so I was going to retire after Moscow, and then I decided to keep swimming because basically that's all I knew. And then I retired again after 82, and then I retired again after 84, and I retired again after 1990. So I kept retiring because it wasn't ever the way to do it. You didn't keep swimming for that long. And so to be at my last Olympics at the age of 30, no one had ever thought about swimming at the age of 30, you know, let alone even 24, 26. It seemed old in those days. But I guess, you know, paving the way for people to understand that if you do the work and you have a goal, you know, no one can stop you. You can do whatever you like, you know, to pursue your dreams and goals regardless of how old you are or what people say about you.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, back in 82, a teenager, fast forward, you're at 33, you're a mum, we've got the Susie O'Neills and, you know, the younger ones coming up and, you know, you've got this outside noise, "Oh, you're too old, you can't do it." But yet here you are, conquered the world and just continued to smash these times. Turning 60, looking back, can you quite believe what you've packed in and what you've achieved?
I can now that it's all on paper.
Yeah.
But I speak about it, you know, quite a bit when I'm on the speaking circuit. And so sometimes I think, gee, I've done all right, actually. You know, I did a lot of things. I've been a lot of places and it's funny because it's just ingrained in me to the point where I'm thinking, right, now what's next? And my husband said, "Why don't you just relax and put your feet up?" So I got out my crocheting hook last night and I started crocheting another blanket for the new baby. So I'm starting off with cream, and I don't know if I'll add, you know, an olive green or a pink to it yet, depending on if it's a boy or a girl. But sitting around with my feet up is a interesting concept for me because I don't feel like I'm achieving anything, although maybe it's good for me. Maybe I should just walk my own talk and slow down a little bit.
Maybe, but maybe that's just not who you are. If you weren't a swimmer, what would you have been?
I would have been, I know what I would have been. I would have been a phys ed teacher because that's all I ever wanted to be. I went to college I studied phys ed, then later on I went to uni and did exercise physiology, and I never finished either of my degrees, but in a way I kind of do teach people anyway. We have over 500,000 women in our Facebook group pages with our Happy Healthy You company, and so we're talking to them every single day. And, you know, women feel supported and heard and can talk about anything at all, and we've got people who answer their questions, our beautiful staff who answer their questions 7 days a week. So I guess in a way I am still a teacher, but in a different way.
You had a beautiful daughter at the age of 28. You have another 2 beautiful children. Being a mum, would you say that's your greatest achievement?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. And, you know, that first moment when you know that you're a mother is just the greatest moment ever. And I remember that day so clearly because I had a blood test and my mum worked in a doctor's surgery and she sent away the test and I came home from somewhere, I can't remember where I was, and there was a pair of booties hanging on the front doorknob of her house. So it was, you know, it was so nice. And yeah, 2 more beautiful children, and, you know, I feel so grateful. And, you know, and then, of course, life got a little bit tough for Jamie, and the challenges that, you know, that she had to go through from a teenager were just too much for her to handle. And it was a really sad time of our lives where we were trying to stay on top of everything and staying strong and doing what we did, and yet behind closed doors we were just torn apart by her sadness.
You said we were there when she took her first breath and we were there when she took her last. A parent should never have to say goodbye to their child. It's just not what happens. How are you?
I'm okay until someone asks me how I am.
Yeah.
Some days I'm okay, and some days I'm not.
And that's okay.
I know. And I think, sorry, I was okay, see.
No, I'm sorry.
Sometimes when the more, I'm kind of feeling like the more I talk about it, the slightly easier it's becoming. But so many people are going through it, you know, every single day. People lose their children all the time, and I know from that when you walk down the street that every second person you see is probably, you know, just dying inside of grief like we are, but continue to put one foot in front of the other, you know, and sometimes our greatest achievement is just getting out of bed.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, if you can have empathy for people, you know, even without knowing their story, just show kindness and, you know, just be good to people. It makes it a lot easier to get through the day.
I saw a story that there's a little bird that is around you quite often, and you've called her Jamie, and I hope that she's with you on Sunday with all your loved ones, and that you have a newborn with you in your arms, and we wish you so many happy returns for your birthday, and thank you for sharing your story with us, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jade. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Lisa Curry, and you can find her book at all good bookstores. It's beautiful. Lisa, a memoir, 60 years of love, life and loss.
Whether you're travelling or dreaming of travelling, make sure you check in to FIVEAA's Travel Talk. Every Tuesday afternoon from 2 o'clock, the experts from Phil Hoffman Travel join us as we talk all things travel. We'll give you the best and most up-to-date information on where and when to go, what to see and how to get there. So join me, Jade Robrin, and the expert team from Phil Hoffman Travel every Tuesday afternoon from 2 on 13.95 Adelaide's FIVEAA.
This is the sound of Julian's bargain price vacuum with deep express suction. This is the sound of Julian trying to fix his bargain price vacuum, which infuriates him deeply. Yes, this is the sound of bargain regret. When it comes to the important stuff, like insurance, don't risk it. Go to Amy instead, who offers great value cover you won't regret. Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by AAI Limited trading as Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au. TMD also available.
We'll make the first $30,000 paid on a home loan tax deductible each year and restore the great Australian dream to a young generation that currently have it taken away from them.
Authorised by Craig Kelly for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
Reckon you can pick the election? Pick every seat across the country to drive away in a BYD Atto 3 electric car valued at over $48,000. Play today at supervoter.com.au. Conditions apply.
Hanging for an overseas holiday to Fiji? RAA Travel can get you there. And under a waterfall. Snorkeling with turtles. And village life with the locals. Explore a whole new world of offers with amazing holiday packages to Fiji, the South Pacific and beyond. Book the overseas holiday you've been waiting for with RAA Travel. Speak to the travel experts in-store or visit the RAA Travel website and keep on moving on.
If you have a personal alert system that relies on a landline and is connected to your NBN modem, then be aware it may not be able to make an emergency call during a blackout. It's a worry, but Care Alert has a solution. You could be eligible to upgrade your system to the latest Care Alert Smart Dialer for only $99. That's right, $99. That's a massive 75% off. For more information, go to carealert.com.au or call 1300 75 85 95.
You know us for our bright blue vans. Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. We are the proud winners of the Product Review Award for Plumbing in Australia for 2020 and 21. Did you know we offer $0 deposit interest-free payment plans, have no extra charge for after hours and can also often be at your door within the hour? Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. Available 24/7.
If your home feels so cold in winter that you're attracting the wrong kind of house guests, speak to Polar Air Heating and Cooling. We can provide solutions to warm you and your family this winter. No uninvited furry guests. Let the only polar bear you see this winter be on the side of our vans. Polar Air Heating and Cooling. When your lair is unbearable. polarairhc.com.au.
Jade Robran on 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Good afternoon. It is 10 minutes to 4 o'clock. Coming up after 4 o'clock, Rowey Sports Show. We'll touch base with him in just a moment. But a disturbing photo has caught my eye on the 7 News Adelaide Facebook and also Instagram page. And joining us is Hannah Ford from 7 News Adelaide. Hannah, thanks so much for your time. You're covering this story. It is a disturbing photo which looks like a schoolyard fight. Is that right?
Yes, good afternoon, Jade. It's more than a photo. It's actually a full video, and I can tell you that it's incredibly sickening to watch. We've already spoken to anti-violence campaigners, and they say it's one of the worst that they've ever seen in terms of schoolyard attacks. In the video, we see a 16-year-old girl who is repeatedly punched, dragged along the ground, and then repeatedly kicked in the head by a fellow student. She seems unable to defend herself this time, and it goes for several minutes without anyone intervening. So I can tell you it's incredibly shocking to see. It was in the middle of recess yesterday, and I'm actually standing out the front of Whyalla High School, where I've spoken to lots of shocked and saddened parents who have been informed about this incident today. The full video is it's horrific.
I can tell in your voice, you're a mum as well, and I can tell that you as a court reporter, you've been exposed and you see a lot of things, but I can tell that, this has obviously disturbed you. Do we know if the students are okay?
Yeah, look, it is disturbing, and definitely as a mum, it affects you, as anyone in the public to see this video, it affects you. Especially when this girl is only 16 and all of these students are sitting around stunned and are obviously so shocked at the violence that they don't know how to intervene, and there's no teacher in sight. We know that this girl was taken to hospital. She suffered facial injuries and she also suffered concussion. But it could have been a lot worse, according to a lot of anti-violence campaigners. And you're probably aware of the Sammy D Foundation, and they don't use words like this lightly, but they said it is the worst schoolyard attack that they've seen.
Oh, jeepers. Hannah Ford, thank you very much. And you can watch the full report on 7 News at 6 o'clock tonight. Let's head into Rowey's studio. He's here now to tell us what's going on his show, on Rowey Sports Show. Good afternoon.
It was hard to hear.
It was hard to hear, yeah. It's kind of shaken me a little bit, you know, just a defenceless girl being kicked and, yeah, it's awful.
It's a vulnerable age. My kids are 28, 25 and 22, but they've been 16. That is, look, there's no age for that. That was
awful
confronting.
to hear. Yeah, it really was.
Awful. North coach David Noble gave his team an almighty spray round 3. Some cried, some were hurt. Some were offended, others didn't care. We're all different in that. Now, the millennials of this world, they need to, I don't know, grow a set, harden up, have a spoonful of concrete, give me a spell. Nobes had to apologise. Could have it been that bad? Or am I too old school? Jade, you're perfect to ask because you've got young kids. Mine have been brought up old school.
Yeah, I feel like that whole relationship between coach and player is getting more and more delicate. In fact, I actually just got a message on our parent WhatsApp group saying, I don't want to have to spray the kids at half time. That's not my job. I don't feel comfortable doing that. No coach wants to yell and scream. I feel like...
if you love them enough, you should be able to.
Yeah.
Because you've earned their respect.
But you've also got a group of, let's say, 40 men. Not all of those men or women, depending on the situation, are going to be able to copper spray. Now, some will take... I've got 2 kids, right? One I've got to parent really quite softly and encourage. One I can yell and scream and go, no, do 10 more push-ups, and he'll rise to the challenge. Whereas the other one will go, oh, hang on, am I not good enough, kind of thing. So it's a very delicate situation. And like you said, some cried, some took it on board, some didn't care less. I think gone are the days that you can yell and scream.
Yeah, look, you're right. So we're going to talk to Sheeds about that. Coins are going to take their lead. We'll see you at 4.
Thank you, Rowey, very much. And earlier in the show, speaking of tests and, people feeling nervous and anxious, well, I've got 2 young boys that, again, reacted very differently to the NAPLAN test. One was, yep, cool, whatever, I'll go to school today and smash that one out, whereas the other one was, oh, I'm feeling a little bit nervous about that. Joining us on the line is Kevin. Kevin's called in about NAPLAN. Hi, how you going?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, my daughter did her Year 5 NAPLAN today, and you wouldn't know she had a test.
She was fine.
She didn't focus on it. She didn't worry about it. But what we've done before is, in a couple of previous years, we've done ICAS competition.
Yep.
And so she's been doing that level of stuff with ICAS, so she gets her familiar with the environment, the tests, and so she just takes it in her stride, doesn't worry.
Yeah, see, great lead up. I think that's really good. And Terry's suggests a similar thing. Jade, schools need to go back to having small tests each day. It gives good practice for end-of-year exams and brings them into the real world of challenge. And not everybody is the same. Talk about stress is a furphy. Kevin, thank you very much for calling in. I am going to send you a double pass to Shenyun. You can see them at the Festival Theatre from May 10 to 15. You can book today at Ticket Tech. Congratulations, you're heading off to see that. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for the show this Tuesday, May 10. Look forward to sharing another couple of hours with you again tomorrow. Rowey Sports Show is up next.
Hi, Nick Xenophon here. This election, you can vote differently. The green ballot paper is where you choose who forms government. The white ballot paper